Okay, cold start here. Everything's back together. See how she works. Choke. Not bad, not bad. Okay, let's give this little Stihl 019T a little test cut. This is a friend of mine. He got the saw and it wouldn't run for him, so he asked if I could get it running. So we did that. We got it running. Let's see how it cuts on this literally frozen oak. Literally everything's frozen. We got snow everywhere here. Yeah, we'll see how it cuts. Okay, so the saw was running a little bit too rich, and I want to be able to adjust the high needle on this saw. Now, unfortunately, the way that this particular saw is set up, you can only adjust the low needle. So from the factory, they must come set at a certain richness, and they don't want the homeowner to be able to adjust it and lean it out. So there's actually no hole to adjust it. And when I first got the saw, I thought that it was a fixed high jet, but once I removed the cover, I realized that it's actually an adjustable needle there. They just don't give you access to it. So the only way that I had to go back in and lean the high jet out was to take this whole friggin' cover back off again. And it's a bit of a pain because there's a bunch of fasteners. I mean, once I did it the first time, figured it out, it's not complicated, but the first time trying to go through this, not the easiest. There's like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 fasteners around the outside cover, which we're taking out now with the Torx. I feel like it's a T27, if I can remember properly. So, yeah, and then there's this little hook here, mechanism there for, this saw that you basically hang off your belt when you're climbing, I guess. And then there's this one little hidden fastener down inside this handle here, and you need to have a screwdriver that'll fit down in the passage. I think I actually ground this on a bench grinder for another saw that had a similar design. I can't remember what it was. It might have been another Stihl. I don't work on many Stihl saws, so this was a bit of a learning curve to me, this saw. But the way they come apart is really similar to the little home lights that I've worked on, like a home light XL2, that type, the top handle. They're very similar. So yeah, you get all those fasteners out of the side of here, and then the actual handle here, the like where the trigger assembly is, you got to take it off just to get it out of the way, or else the cover won't pass by it. So there's 2 screws, one in the front. You can see where they're at just by looking at it. 1, 2 here, and then you can just pull that whole thing off and out of the way. You just got to be careful when you do it that you don't knock the trigger assembly all apart. And that's not the end of the world to knock it apart, but if you didn't have a good look at it before you took it apart, then you're definitely going to have a few extra minutes putting it back together. And there, I knocked off just like that the operator presence lever. And it's all an interlocking system, so it's like a little puzzle putting it back together. I think the first time I went into this, I took a picture of it. That's kind of something I always do, take a picture of something before I take it apart, because when you go to put stuff back together, it's a little bit tricky sometimes. You can, how did that go? All right, so we got that out of the way, and now it's just a matter of prying this thing off. It's a bit tight to get off of there because of the fuel in the oil tank, the way they're sitting in there. I think I took the air filter cover off just to get a little bit. I think it was actually, I don't know if it was in the way or not, but just to be safe, I took the screw out and popped it off. And then again, just get your fingers in behind the cover here and start prying at it to pull it off. You don't have to pull hard, just you got to get it from the right angle. And it'll just pop right off. There we go. It's off. And now you have access to the needles. Isn't that ridiculous to have to do this? Like, definitely not ideal. Definitely not ideal. And now here I'm looking at it, at the cover, trying to figure out, because there's actually the little passages, they're there for the high needle. They're just not drilled out. So I'm having a good look at that, realizing at this point that I can just drill that out and then I can adjust the high needle. And this is what you got to do. This is actually to get the carburetor out. If you're going to redo the fuel system, you've got to take this cover off, take the 2 wire leads off the coil, and you got to pull the clutch drum, and then you just basically you push the whole thing out towards that flywheel side, and then you can get access to the carburetor, take it off, and rebuild it. So here we are, reassembling. Just pop everything back into place. Safety lever goes back on the post. And just put the handle assembly back together so that stuff doesn't fly apart. It doesn't need to be off anymore. Really push anything hard, everything should pop into place without too much effort. If you're finding that you need to really push hard, you're probably doing something wrong or something not in the right way. Should be very minimal effort to get it to pop in. So, simple process to get the screws back in. Speed it up, because watching me fumble with these fasteners isn't exactly the most exciting stuff to watch. And what do we got now? Put that one back in the handle there. Air filter back on, and put the caps back in. They just pop back in. stoppers there, or whatever they are, little moon shape or half moon shape things that go down inside. And yeah, that's it. She's back together. Check the levers and the mechanisms, make sure everything works, make sure nothing's not in the right spot. And we're ready to go do some cutting here. Okay, just wanted to kind of show something here. On this saw, only the low jet adjustment screw was accessible. There was no hole here, so you can't adjust the high. That's the way they want you. They don't want you touching it, I guess, so they set it up at the factory. But if you like high and low jet, it's one of those things that you want to be able to adjust, especially if you go in and you do the carburetor rebuild. You're pulling the jets out, and then you're going to want to make an adjustment to it. Now, the setting that I had it in, I think I set it at 1 and not quite 1 1/8. It was really, really rich. I don't think it helped that the chain was a little bit dull too, but it was really rich. I mean, that just really wasn't very pleasant for cutting. So when I took the cover off, there's actually the boss is there for the high jet. It's just not drilled out, so I just drilled it out, and now you can adjust it. So I screwed up. There's actually another boss here, and yeah, I drilled that one out by accident. I wasn't looking at it right when I had it off, so I filled it back up with clear silicone. I'll tell my buddy there, sorry. Drilled a hole in the case for no reason. And then of course this is, the idle adjust. Anyhow, just wanted to show that. Now it's a fully adjustable high and low needles. That's gonna make things a lot better for adjusting after a carburetor rebuild. Okay, so we adjusted the carburetor a little bit, sharpened the chain, and touched the rakers there with the raker gauge. And we'll see how it cuts. It's extremely early in the morning here. Well, not extremely, but it's 7 o'clock here, and I don't want to run this thing for too long, so I'll do a couple quick cuts, see how it runs. Hopefully we got it adjusted so it cuts a little bit better. Let's see how it goes. Now, it sounded to me like by the time we got to the bottom of that cut that it was, leaning out a bit. Probably still fine, but I riched it up a bit. Okay, well, I think that was a pretty good test cuts. Sounded pretty good to me. I'm gonna let it sit overnight and then restart it again tomorrow and see what we got.